Welcome back, everybody. This is now the video about bobbin winding. Now, we took the bobbin case out of the machine, and there were a bobbin, empty bobbin. Since I took this out, it just pops in and out. Is check that this is clean. If this is pretty clean, I don't see lint gathered up in the back between. This is like a silver. Here, let me grab this. This disc here can get lint back there. If there is, you take that brush that we brushed the machine with and brush the lint out of there as well. So empty bobbin gets popped onto the bobbin holder, and the thread cone gets popped on the thread cone holder. And again, someone has left thread here to use. I'm going to take it out because oftentimes this does get thread comes out just because I don't know, it's like kind of in the central area, so versus the machine, which is kind of more protected. This is in a central area, and thread gets knocked out really easily. So it's numbered, the pathway, so you just kind of start with the numbers. See, this is number 2, so you wouldn't start here. You got to start up here, and there's a number 1 in there, and you're coming outside in. Number 2 then is around this disc. That's what the picture is trying to show you. So I go from the right side to the left side. Number 3 is this pink little spot. And then above this tensioner, so I'm going in between 2 discs there, and you can hear it catch. If they don't catch, then your bobbin will not wind correctly. And then in to out on that part. And now this picture is kind of difficult to see. I mean, there's a lot going on here. So, that's not very helpful. What I do is I'm coming in from the right side of the bobbin, and I start winding around the bobbin. 2, 3, 4 times is good. I do at least 4 to 5, 6 times. And I only have a little tail here. If there's a longer tail, I'll cut it off. So I'm just holding the very end and trying to keep tension on it. You don't want to be loose. I pop that down, so that's why it's saying 5 is this lever goes down, and down here is the on up. So when I push on, I'm going to make sure I keep tension here, and it'll naturally pull the thread out of my finger if I have enough tension. If I'm too loose, then it'll just spin in place and it's not catching. So it'll go the whole way, but I'm going to just show that again. Bobbin on, coming from the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, I have a long tail here, so I'll cut the extra off, put the lever down, and keep tension while I push on. So that time I was a little loose at first, so I gave it a little tug in order for it to catch. That's what I kind of wanted to show you guys. So if it's not catching, give your thread a little tug, and then it'll catch and go. And it'll stop on its own. You don't have to stop it, but we're going to stop it because you don't need to see the whole thing winding. Sounds good. That's it for the bobbin winding. All right, now our bobbin is wound. It's all the way in there, and we have our bobbin case, and then we also have the toe gauge. And so the thing about long arm quilting is you have to create the tension to fit the machine. So normally this is not something you do on a home machine because everything's already set by the manufacturer. But for us, for long arming and any long arming, you have to set the tension. So we find it super helpful to use a toe gauge. And we have here our hints. We need a number between 170 to 180. And we also want the thread not in hook. So this is just kind of helpful reminder. If you can't remember the number it's supposed to be, it's on the box. And to put the bobbin in the bobbin case here, The top of the bobbin is this opening here. And this is the hook that we were talking about earlier, but we're looking at the back of the bobbin. So this is the top, so I always have that at the top. That means my bobbin needs to come off with the thread clockwise or to the right, or another way is to think it's got to look like a Q. Whatever method that helps you. Thread needs to be coming off towards the right, or it's got to be clockwise, and that then pops in there. So top of the bobbin, thread coming off counterclockwise, you move it down to this slit, and then I just kind of scooched it in there, and then you then move it up to this tension. And so it's got to be in between this little, can't be out here. It's got to be in there, and you'll hear it or feel it snap. So that's now in, and helpful to hold this bobbin in so it doesn't come out on you. So I usually hold a bobbin with 2 fingers. And that hook, we don't want it, the note said not in the hook for tension purposes. So what we're going to do is pop this down, and this has to lock in. So I can't move this, like I can't shift it around. If it's not locked in, if it's off, then this moves and you're not going to get accurate tension. So this is supposed to lock in there. This is the door to the bobbin case, and it locks it in. And here's my thread coming off its tension here. So then there's a little groove in here, just like that's where you want your thread to go in. So we're going to guide it in between those 2 discs from the bottom to the top, and now that engages the tension reader right here. But to make sure we have an accurate tension, then you go catch the thread here, and then I like to make sure my thread is coming off straight here. Now I'm pulling it and creating this tension, and it says it's 175. I mean, it's pretty perfect on there. Sometimes, you know, it bounces a little, so I just try to take an average. I'm pretty happy with that. So when it bounced up, that was because my hand was way far, continuing pulling the thread. Yeah, that's pretty good. If we needed to adjust it, so I'm gonna say in the long arm basket there, we have a basket of tools dedicated to the long arm. There's a super small screwdriver. I'm gonna loosen it up first and just see, so you can see what, actually I tightened it. So now it's consistently near 200, and that would be too high. So to loosen it, these are the 2 screws you'll see on the side of the bobbin. And you can access them without taking the bobbin out, and it's better you leave this in. This is not the screw you're gonna do. That screw is actually holding the whole thing together. It's the slightly bigger screw here. And again, if you forget, just say, remind me again, how do I tighten this? Or loosen it, and we'll show you. And so I need to loosen, let's see, lefty, righty tighty, lefty loosey, just like normal. And you just do a real small increment and then check. That was pretty good. A lot of people go too far, and then you'll have to tight, you know, again, go back and then tighten it, righty tighty. But remember, it's really minute increments. And then there is a little cutter here, so you can just kind of hold the thread and put it against the cutter there to cut it. Lift the bobbin out with using the door, and when I first got it, it's actually not picking up the bobbin. So again, put it back in, lift this, and then pull out, and it dropped in again. So lift and keep that tension there, and then I just kind of scooched my finger there. I find it much easier to work everything with 2 fingers. And then before you put it into the machine, we got to put the thread in the hook. And this hook just help guide the thread to the machine. As you can see, this is the top. And if it wasn't in there, then the needle's coming down here, and this thread will be traveling a long ways to the needle. So instead, come from back to front, in. Now we're ready to put our bobbin in the machine. So I like to bring this down and hold with my thumb and a finger in the back and go to the machine. So to put it in the machine, I'm holding it with 2 fingers, and I push up where there's a hole here that goes to there. So that's what I'm aiming for. And I just slide out my finger and pushed in with my thumb, and that's too loose and it didn't click in. So you got to hear this click. And now it's in. The other way is I know I can't pull it out, like I can't pull this out unless I get this door engaged, and then it pulls out. And you can see this is horizontal, so the hook has to lead up to the top. So those are all ways to know you're in there correctly. I like to just do a pickup stitch. So I'm gonna thread my needle here again. It came out. There we go. With the white button, picked up that thread with the white button, and then with little scissors, I go in between to kind of grab everything between the layers, like, because your quilt's going to be quilted here.